folks, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the workshop. Another Workshop Wednesday video. I'm doing this one recorded. The live stream turned out okay. I was relatively happy with how it turned out, though I did notice some choppy video in the front part of the live stream. So I'm going to work out the kinks with that. I think I need to get a Wi-Fi extender because I'm down in the dungeon here and the Wi-Fi router is upstairs. So I think that might have been the reason. But generally, pretty happy with the audio quality, and also it seemed like the video feed actually evened out as the live stream went on, and I had a couple people even interact. So all in all, I think it was a good test, but I think there's some things I want to figure out first before I do another one. So in the meantime, I'm just going to do another one of these unedited workshop videos. I got a lot to cover and try to catch you up on. I've been very busy here in the workshop. If any of you have reached out to me asking for beginner sets, you'll know that I have been very busy. We did a little bit of traveling over Thanksgiving that I'm going to get to in a little bit to show you something. But generally, just a lot going on, which I'm really thankful for, and want to, really thank everyone who's reached out and asked for clubs. I really enjoy putting the sets together for folks. I just got overwhelmed in a short period of time, so I'm trying to catch up. And think I'm getting close. But if you've reached out to me and you're waiting right now, I appreciate your patience. I'll get back to you as soon as I can and get your clubs out to you. And that's also a good segue if you are thinking about getting into Hickory golf and you want to try a beginner set, reach out to me. I'm getting more organized now that I've been overwhelmed with orders. So I think I got a better process going forward, and it shouldn't take too long for me to get to your order if you reach out. So let's see. I don't think there's much to show you in this room today because I got a lot of other stuff I want to get to. So let's take a little walk here. So you can see there's quite a bit going on here at Hickory HQ. These are some of the beginner sets that I've been building. They're getting those ready to roll. But what I want to show you right now is kind of a fun acquisition here. Found out about, back in the spring, actually heard about this. There's a guy near us who is selling his father's Hickory golf collection and antique ball collection, and that's what you're looking at right there. So it doesn't look like much right now because it's all in boxes, but there are probably, I would say several hundred golf balls in there. And then in these boxes over here on the right, we've got a bunch of Hickory clubs. So co-founder of the Connecticut Hickory Golf Association, Jacob Orcutt, and I went in on this deal. I really just wanted about 20 of the 90 clubs that were available for us to purchase, and Jacob took the rest. So these 4 boxes here are Jacob's clubs, and we'll just kind of take a closer look at those since they're still here. Get in front of the camera now. But I like to. All the clubs came in these nice boxes here, and I'm going to be able to use these for storage. But just a quick glance through, there's some woods here. These are mostly common clubs, but there's some interesting ones in here. Let's see if I can find one relatively quickly. Here's a nice deep groove. It's a ladies club, but it's got still decent weight to it, and very cool collectible club, also a good player. So there's some, good clubs in here. Let's see if there's anything else that jumps out at us. Yeah, just some good clubs. Jacob's going to have a fun time going through these. He's got about, I think, 60 clubs here. So there's those. Got to deliver those. And then I'm working on the golf balls. Back up here to show you those. So you might remember from the last video, I showed some of my recent finds from a road trip, which included some antique golf balls. Quite honestly, I didn't know anything about them when I bought them, but I haven't seen those in antique stores that often, so I felt like I had to pick them up. And I'm really glad I did, because after some research, I found out that I have some pretty rare golf balls there. So that's kind of spurred my interest in getting more golf balls, of course. That's how it always works. So it was cool. The timing of this, acquisition included some mesh golf balls, and that's specifically what I'm collecting is mesh, pre-35 or so mesh golf balls. And this particular collector had a good amount of them. So there's some dimples, early dimple balls mixed in there, but you can see all the mesh patterns, and I'll show you these in the future after I get through organizing them. And it's going to be a big project. There's a lot of golf balls here, but you know, it's something fun to do over the winter. And I'll just kind of show you these other ones here. These are more classic era golf balls now. Make sure that's still there. Okay. This particular collector was big into signature balls. So this box is full of balls. There's Lee Elder, recently passed away. But yeah, there's just a ton of signature balls here. We got all kinds of pros from the 50s, 60s, or some 40s. There's a pack of Walter Hagens in there from the 40s. So I'm going to look forward to categorizing these and organizing them and all that. I got some more balls back there. Those are more contemporary. Probably were collectible in the 90s, but not so much anymore. All right, we are in the workshop. Before we get into this week's projects, wanted to share an exciting announcement. Back in the summer, I reached out to Stuart and Jacoby to be a partner with me on the course vlogs. And so since then, they've been sponsoring the What's in the Bag segment of my course vlog videos. And I've been very happy with the results of that partnership. Several people have taken up the Hickory Hacker 21 promo code offer and have bought bags from Stuart and Jacoby and other items. They're happy with the arrangement. I'm very happy with the arrangement, so it's been going great. In the spirit of that, I felt like it was time to reach out to another brand that I've come to really respect and appreciate. And so without further ado, I'm going to introduce Skidmore's Restoration Cream. This is a product that I've been using to condition shafts and also leather grips that I'm not going to replace. It says it's infinitely useful on the jar, and that's totally true. This is beeswax, linseed oil. It's a totally natural product, and it works great at refinishing shafts and sealing them so that they don't get wet. Gives them a great look. I'll actually show you how it works here in a second. But I reached out to Skidmore's. I've been using this product for about a year. But the video that I did on shaft maintenance, that's part of the Hickory Golf Club Repair Series, I wasn't using this product yet, and I wish I had been because it's been great. And so I reached out to Skidmore's with the same kind of pitch that I gave Stuart and Jacoby, just kind of, you know, showing them that there's a growing audience around Hickory golf, and they have a product that really works well at maintaining Hickory golf clubs. And Vince Skidmore, the guy who came up with this formula, he's a golfer, and he was super excited to find out that I was using his product on Hickory golf clubs. So he was all for the partnership, and I got a new jar here of restoration cream. Got actually several products here that I'll show you that I'm going to be using over the next several months and doing specific videos on. We've got Skidmore's leather cream here, which is, I think, the same formula as in the restoration cream, but specifically, you know, marketed toward leather. And then we've got beeswax waterproofing, which I'm excited to try. That's what you put on after the leather cream to give leather some extra protection. So I've got a project in mind where I've got an all leather golf bag from 1930 that I'm going to try to restore, and using all Skidmore's products on it. We got a brand new jar of restoration cream here to tap into. I'm getting close to out on that one. And yeah, we've got a couple other things here that I'll figure out how to use. This is a beeswax. You can use this on thread, you know, for when you're doing leather work. You can kind of seal the thread with that, and you can also use this on wood furniture as well. And then I've also got some liquid beeswax wood finish here, which may not be a specific Hickory Golf project or Hickory Golf Club project, but I'll figure out how to use that and show you how it works. I'm going to take the phone and actually put it up in the cradle. Okay, so got the camera up on the cradle. Let's get into this week's projects. Or actually, let's talk about what I worked on last time, which was I did a test between Vinegar and Evapo-Rust to see which worked better. And I gotta say, I'm pretty surprised at the results. If you watched my Workshop Wednesday video, the last one, I think it was a live stream, I said that I use vinegar, but it's gonna be hard for me to try something else because I've been so satisfied with how vinegar worked. Well, I'm gonna eat those words right now because Evapo-Rust is legit. It's expensive, which is the downside to it compared to vinegar. I think this gallon was 30 bucks, and I bought this at Harbor Freight. But man, does it work really well. So this is the club that I put in the vinegar because I didn't want to mess this up. This is the Tom Stewart mid-iron made for Alex Smith. And I wanted to make sure that this one didn't get damaged. So I did this in what I trusted, which was vinegar. And I don't even know if I have the club that I put in the Evapo-Rust on my table right now. But the long and short of it is, I ended up putting this club in the Evapo-Rust after the vinegar because the Evapo-Rust did such a great job. And it did it in like an hour. I mean, it was crazy. This is a club that I'm going to put in the Evapo-Rust. And the Tom Stewart irons that I put into this test weren't too far off from what this looks like right now. And this is the result. I mean, these clubs, the patina is maintained, but all of the rust is gone. I hardly had to scrub this at all with steel wool. If I did, it was mostly just to get it out of the letters and some of the grooves and stuff. But these clubs turned out beautiful. And they still look like they're old clubs. That was my concern, is that there would be some kind of weird chemical reaction where it would make these look brand new. They don't look brand new, they look old, but they don't have any rust on them. And they're holding up great. So, I'm a believer. If I've got a lot of clubs that I need to remove rust on quickly, I'm going with this stuff. You can reuse it several times. So what I did was I had the solution in a bowl, put the Stewarts in there, let them sit for about an hour, and then I had another bowl that was kind of like a secondary soak after most of the rust had come off here. This was kind of like a detailed soak. And so I was able to reuse all of that. I had the big bowl here. I think I processed 8 Stewart irons. I think it was 8 clubs through the Evapo-Rust in one day. Then put them in the secondary soak for a little bit just to get the extra details clean. And then I was able to save it all and put it in another. Let me show you. So here's the solution. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It looks pretty dirty. I mean, it's definitely got some, it's been worked, but it can definitely work some more. So it's pretty clear when it comes out of here. But I've got all of it still. I haven't thrown any of this away, and I'm pretty sure I'll be able to use even this used amount again pretty well. So yeah, I'm still going to use vinegar, but like I said, if I've got a project that I need to get done quicker, Evapo-Rust is my go-to now. Now, just to keep you from getting dizzy with the camera work, I'm going to mix this up a little bit than, from the format that I usually do. I've got 2 projects in the works right now, and both of them are related to shafts. So the first thing I'm going to show you now that the camera is up here is shaft straightening using Patrick Kennedy's club straightening board. So I'm going to grab that here. All right. So I picked this up from the Hickory Golf Workshop, Gary Ely in Vermont over the summer. It's a pretty big item here, not just in size, but in cost. I'd been waiting a little bit to pick this up until I knew for sure I was ready to work with it. And I'm really glad I did, because I think it's a good pickup. As you see here, we've got some lobes that you can adjust, and you've got this straight line here to put your shaft on, so you know where it's not straight. You could obviously make one of these, and a lot of people have. But what I'll say about it is that Gary and Patrick Kennedy specifically have put a lot of thought into how this is all set up. Through, I'm assuming, previous versions where they, figured out some improvements. So all that's to say, I think it's worth buying it from Hickory Golf Workshop, because they've put the thought into this that you might run into trial and error issues with if you just see this and you're like, oh, it's a board with some lobes on it, I can do that. Now, that's not to say that you couldn't make a totally effective straightening board yourself. But this is one instance where I think that it's worth it to support Hickory Golf Workshop. Well, there's a lot of reasons to support Hickory Golf Workshop. This is one instance where I think it's worth the expense of buying something that you see you could probably make yourself. So I'm rambling on here. Let's just get into showing you how this works. So what I've got here, this is a shaft that I'm actually going to take this shaft off of the head because it's just not a good match. But before I do that, I'm going to leave the head on here because it's going to help me figure out how I want this shaft to be straighter. This has already gone through a couple rounds on this board because there are a couple different things going on. The first was that, and I'm not sure I'll be able to illustrate this on the video, but basically the shaft was bowed like this. Is that coming through on the camera? It had kind of a bow that way, which was, well, I'm sorry, it wasn't that way. It was actually going this way, which is why it was a problem for me. I don't mind it so much if there's a bow where the lie angle on the club's a little bit flatter, but this was going the opposite direction, and then it was a little weird in the middle. It was more of a warp than it was an intentional bend. Sometimes you see them where it's an intentional bend this way or even an intentional bend that way to adjust the lie angle of the head. This was more of a warp. So anyway, I wanted to fix that first. So I put it on the board this way. Loosen that up. I put it on the board this way, and you can see when this is set in the center here, for the most part, it's pretty straight. There's still a bit of a bow like this, but it's manageable. And if I really wanted to make it perfect, I could do another round on it and straighten it further. But the more important bend for me to address right now is what's going on right about here. So we've got an issue where the shaft from here down to the shoulder is pretty straight, but then it starts to bend a little bit this way. And you can see that a little bit more apparent when it's actually on the board. So if it's showing up, and it should, here we've got the club centered between the two lines, and if you follow the shaft, everything's pretty good, but then start to see how it starts to go this way over here. So that's what I want to try to fix right now. So what you do with this is you just basically maneuver these lobes around to keep, oh, wrong way, there we go, to keep the shaft from moving. Just kind of place it in the position that you want it on the board. We're not doing much yet with maneuvering these lobes to address the bend itself. Right now I'm just trying to get it stable and in one spot on the board. And we'll mess with the details of this here in a second. All right, so come on. Okay, so now that I've put this in here, I realize that I probably want to be the other way around, because what I want to do is use these lobes to actually push the opposite direction of the bend. So the way that I positioned in this right here, I've wasted my time, because if I want to adjust this lobe that way, it's going to be pushing the bend further out in the direction I don't want. So we're just going to turn it around. This is the life of the Hickory hacker. A lot of trial and error and mistakes. All we're going to do here is flip this around so that the lobes are on, the larger lobes are on the other end. All right. Okay, there we go, that looks better. So, what we're going to do is focus on the bend in this area. I want this to basically be as straight as this over here. So, I'm going to start maneuvering the shaft so that it starts to hold that position. So that's where I want that to be. Hopefully that's coming through on the video. Let me move this down a little bit so you can see the business end of things. Okay, so we got this part straight. Move this a little bit. This comes in handy in a second because what you'll be able to do is really put some pressure on these lobes to get everything nice and straight. This is the other thing I'm talking about, where if you made this yourself, you might skip this one detail and may not even notice it, but these lobes have holes all the way around so that no matter where you're at, you'll be able to find a hole to turn this using this guy. So these are the things, you know, I'm all for trying to save money whenever I can, but there are certain instances where it just pays to buy what the experts have put together, and I think that Patrick Kennedy's done all the work so you don't have to, and you may as well pick up this shaft straightener. Okay, so I'm just kind of scanning this here, and I'm pretty happy with how this is looking, straightness wise. Some of these could be a little bit tighter. So yeah, when you do this, it's just, you know, kind of messing around with it until you get it just right. And the beauty of it is, if it doesn't turn out exactly how you want it the first time, you can always just do it again. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to use the heat gun. I'm going to start down on this end, and in 6-inch sections, go back and forth about 50 times. You're always going to keep this moving so that it doesn't rest on one spot too long and char the wood. But the idea here is we're going to go across in 6-inch sections 50 times, get to the end, then we're going to come back, same thing, 50 times, 50 passes in each section. And what you're doing is basically slowly relaxing the fibers in the wood so that they take on the straightness that you've locked in here. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to let it sit for about 10 or 15 minutes, and I'm going to show you another project I'm working on while we wait for that to cool, and then we're going to see how it does. So let's get going. I'm going to try to count in my head to 50 on each pass, but I'm also going to try to talk too so that I'm not making this a boring video. I can't do both. I found out that I can't talk and count in my head at the same time. I'm not sure if there's a way to do that, but I don't know how to do it. All right, that's about 50 or so, so I'm going to move on to the next 6-inch section. I'm basically looking at those 6 inches as lobe to lobe here. You know, this area of the shaft is pretty straight. This is one of the spots where I had to fix it before, though, so you know, it probably won't hurt to just get this even straighter in a different position. All right, I'm going to move on. Next section. Now we're starting to get into where I want the bend to be addressed. You definitely feel it getting warmer here. Better be, because I think I got the heat gun on high here. But as you notice, I'm not trying to get too close to the wood because I don't want to char it. So, you know, keeping it moving and keeping it about maybe 3-4 inches above the surface of the shaft. All right, moving down here. And we'll go all the way down to the end of the grip because this was an area too that was bent. Also, you notice that I removed the leather grip before I did all this. I just think it's probably a good idea so you can, you know, so nothing's in your way and nothing impedes the heat. I'm not really counting to 50 at this point, but just kind of guessing. That's how the shaft is pretty warm. So after I get through these last two sections here, we'll let this sit and cool for about 15 minutes. And in that time, I'm going to show you some of the fresh finds that I've gotten, or that I've had lately. One of which isn't my own find, but it's a cool story. Or at least I think it's a cool story. And then I'll show you a project that I'm learning how to do that I'm not quite ready to show you yet. But I'll give you some news on where I'm at with it, and yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. I better count these last ones here. All right, I hope that's some kind of YouTube record for longest continuous heat gun montage without any words. Okay, all right, so I'm going to take this off the workbench right now and put this aside to cool. Yeah, that's pretty warm. So hopefully we got that heated enough in order to address that bend over here. Learned by mistakes, so you always wear gloves when you're dealing with hot stuff. Okay, so while that's cooling down, let's show you some of the things that I've picked up lately. You saw the golf balls and the clubs outside of the workshop. What I'm about to show you here, and I'll kind of hide it before I do. So the quick story on this was my wife and I went home to Kansas for Thanksgiving and met up with some friends we hadn't seen in a while, good friends of ours. And Clay driving around in their area, and it was garbage day, and he came across 7 hickory clubs laying, I think they were laying next to a garbage can, ready to go to a landfill. So he picked them up because he knows that I collect them and play them, and sent me a message with the picture and said, "Do you want these?" And I was like, "Yeah, absolutely." And I couldn't tell what they were when he found them, when he sent the picture. But when we saw them before Thanksgiving, he pulled them out and gave them to me. And the cream of the crop, all 7 clubs are actually pretty good shape. Some of them have cut down shafts. Most of them are common, Spalding, crow flights, that kind of thing. But this particular club I thought was very cool. So it needs to go through the Evapo-Rust process, which I'll do shortly. Probably not in this video, but that is a MacGregor OA flanged mashie. Those of you who've watched my course vlogs know how much I love flanged mashies. It's probably the club I use the most. And this club is awesome. Like, these are hard to find, first of all, but they're such good players. I've already measured this one. It's 38 degrees and D5 swing weight. The shaft doesn't have the MacGregor stamp on it, but seems to be pretty close to, I would guess, original, if not, you know, the original shaft. It's straight. It's got a really tight grain line on the butt end here, which is indicative of old growth hickory shaft. And usually when you have tight grain lines like that, you've got a straight shaft on your hands too, and that's the case with this one. So no cracks. I'm just super excited to use this club. And you know, the flange mashie that's in my primary set right now, I'm pretty sure is a MacGregor OA, but it might also be the next generation of this, which I don't remember the exact name, if it's OB or if it's just B, but those were flanged as well. And either way, the warranted hand-forged label here is similar, is the same as mine, and so is the scoring pattern on the face. So yeah, we'll see if this club, you know, I may build a set around this, but more likely this club will get some playtime in my bag, and then will probably end up in my online store at some point, because these are just really cool clubs and hard to find. Okay, so I'll show you how I use the Skidmore's Restoration Cream. I'm really only using gloves so that I don't get steel wool bits in my arm or my hands. And this stuff, you know, there's linseed oil in it, so just keeps my hands cleaner. But you could totally get this on your hands, and it's all natural, made with natural oils and beeswax. So what I like to do first is rough up the shaft, and I'm actually going to use 00 steel wool to do that, just to kind of get some of the grime off, because what's going to end up happening here is this first pass with this is going to take a lot of the dirt off the shaft, and I also do the grip as well. But this helps it a little bit. So I'm going to rough up the shaft here. This will help the restoration cream penetrate the shaft a little bit more. All right, so that's good. This is where a lot of the dirt's going to come from. This area here, you're going to just see that on the paper towel I use. But then, just take some of the Skidmore's. This is 000 steel wool. Kind of dip it on there, and you're instantly going to see the sheen come back to this wood. I mean, it's awesome stuff. And I'll use a little bit of pressure to really kind of dig that in there. Like I said, you can get it, you can put it on the head as a rust protectant, but I actually need to take this head off. This is the MacGregor OA mashie. I need to take that head off and give it a rust removal treatment with the Evapo-Rust. But I just wanted to show you how well it works on shafts. So the beeswax is going to act as a water repellent. Linseed oil will help kind of recondition the shaft as well, re-moisturize it. And look at that. That's great. So that's the first pass, just to kind of get the dirt off. We'll also do the grip here. Yeah, the other reason that I wear gloves is usually that all the grime on these just gets all over the place, and so this is just an easier way to keep my hands clean so I'm not washing them all the time. I'll just dip this paper towel in here now. I'm actually going to replace the grip on this, but I just want to show you, if you didn't want to replace it, what the Skidmores can do for you. I prefer suede side out grips on the clubs that I play, so that's why I'm going to replace this grip. But I've used this on a couple clubs. The Croydon waffle face spade mashie that I use in my current play set, I didn't change the grip on that. That's still the original. So when I did this Skidmore's treatment to it, the grip was tacky again. It wasn't really tacky, but it was tackier than it was before. Tacky enough that I felt comfortable playing it. So it's really good stuff. And this wasn't too dirty, actually. It didn't pick up too much grime there. So that's it. Highly recommend this. This is the Restoration Cream. Infinitely useful. And we'll be doing a lot more with Skidmore's products here on the channel. Like I said, over the next couple months. Now we'll get the shaft and see how straight it is. Should be plenty cool by now. I think I wasted enough time. Yep, definitely cool to the touch. So if you remember, this was where our bend was. Probably should have tightened that a little bit more. As I was heating it, I noticed that it wasn't quite as straight as I wanted it to be in that area. But let's see how we did. You know, you got to be willing, or you have to just be mindful of the fact that you might have to do this a couple times to get it just how you want it. So I'm going to take this out of the lobe so we can get a true reading on how straight this is. Okay. So starting down here, pretty straight, pretty straight, pretty straight, pretty straight. Still, it's better, but it still needs some straightening. So I think probably what I need to do is actually count to 50 and take my time in this area and maybe do a few more passes the next round. But it's better. So yeah, now that I'm seeing this here, it's not as bent. It's actually pretty close. I can still see a bend there. But that's not too bad. Yeah, it's not nearly as perceptible when I look down the line on it. It's probably even playable that way. But I want to try to get this one precise just so that I can see how well this works for me. And I can already see just from the 2 or 3 times that I've done this shaft and addressed different bends that this is working. So that's all I need to see in order to keep working at it. You know, I was aware of the fact that it may not fix itself right away, but it's not too far off. And it's certainly better than it was when we started. And as far as I can tell, that's the only other bend that probably needs to be addressed. So, yeah, chalk one up for the Patrick Kennedy shaft straightener. And I think that's a good spot to wrap up this video. There we go. All right, so that'll wrap up this Workshop Wednesday video. I want to thank you for watching. If you haven't figured out the pattern yet, I've been basically posting a course vlog, and if it's an 18-hole vlog, then it'll take 2 weeks. And if it's just a 9-hole vlog, it'll be 1 week. And then after the course vlog, I'll do another Workshop Wednesday. So next week is a 9-hole course vlog, and the week after that, I'll do another Workshop Wednesday. And I'm going to keep doing them recorded for now with very little editing, with the hopes that I'll be able to get some kind of Wi-Fi extender that'll make the connection down here in the workshop better than it was, so you're not watching 20 minutes of choppy video. So that'll do it. I really appreciate everybody for watching. And if you've got any questions about anything I covered here or that you want to see me cover, put a comment down in the put the question down in the comments. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Thanks. Take care.